Hello, everyone. I'm extremely excited to be here for DevOps Enterprise Summit London. It's actually my second DevOps Enterprise Summit. I did the forum thing, which is super interesting. Thank you, Gene, for the invite to that. And uh, I've just found this community to be so incredibly welcoming and giving, and everyone is really, really curious, which is exciting. Sometimes I go to conferences for product management or for UX, and everyone kind of has it all figured out. But the DevOps community seems perpetually curious, which is great. People share their work and share their stories, and I'm just super excited to be here. First, a bit about me. I have a background in product management and UX research. I had some odd jobs in my 20s. I was in a PowerPoint factory, basically at an investment bank where we would do hundreds of pages of PowerPoint every day. That was exciting. Wow. Got involved in music. I had a video game called Last Call, which is a bartending game. Drove a rickshaw in New York. That was fun. Basically, I kind of did a lot of things in my 20s and then kind of settled into this career. I'm active in a lot of communities, the Agile community, product management, design, now DevOps, which is exciting, org design community. I don't really just identify me with one of these communities. I think like a lot of people, I kind of pick and choose what's interesting from different worlds, and I try to figure it out in my head. And that's just how I work. I have to say one thing though, I became addicted to DevOps Enterprise Summit by watching all these videos, and I found it to be some of the most compelling discussions about org design and safety and systems. And so I have a sweet spot for the DevOps community. I write a bunch. My blog is at cuddle.fish, and I have a 2-year-old, and so my attention span sort of fits into Twitter, and so I do use Twitter a lot. You can find me at John Cuttlefish. Currently, I work at a company called Amplitude. I'm going to just briefly describe what I do there because it's relevant to this topic today. So Amplitude focuses on product analytics for product teams. It's not general BI, it's not marketing, it's not generic SQL. It helps teams make sense of complex user behaviors with digital experiences, digital products, and we really focus on helping, empowering teams to act, to experiment, to get a virtuous cycle of learning. I mention this because it gets me in contact with lots of teams from lots of different contexts, lots of different journeys, industries, etc. And my role there is I work as more of an external team coach. I focus on customers, prospects, the broader product public. I do a little bit internal, but mostly externally focused. I write some books for Amplitude. I've written a book for Amplitude, design workshops. You get the idea. It's a dream job. I get to nerd out all day about product stuff, which is extremely exciting for me. Now, pertinent to this talk is that recently I've had a lot of engineering leaders sitting in on these conversations, or actually even initiating the conversations with me, because they're interested in product management, they're interested in product analytics, design, and a lot of them have had some top-down mandate in their organization that they have to become more product-driven, and they're a little curious. They're second guessing how it's going down in their organization. And I have to admit, often that's for a very good reason. And so we're going to get into that a bit in this talk. So that's kind of the inspiration for this talk. There's this real hype in the DevOps community, especially around projects to products. Congrats to Mick for kind of getting that going. Now, how does this manifest in organizations? Suddenly product owners are popping up everywhere. Products are popping up everywhere. You want budget? Call your thing a product. It's easy. You got influence. There is this growing awareness of value streams, which I think is very valuable. But generally, there's this awareness. And at DevOps Enterprise Summit Las Vegas, I hosted Lean Coffee, and I had some. I was at a table, and the questions were bubbling up like, "What is a product even? How does a product thinking even fit into our organization?" So you can tell people are very actively mulling over this question, and it's something that I decided I would try to address in this particular talk. But I have to admit that something is missing. I talked to companies about how this was being put into motion in their companies, and I would observe these very well-oiled feature factories. There's a product, there's features, it's usable, we're getting a lot of stuff done. Seeing a lot of investment in tools and consultancies and design thinking. A lot of talk of internal customers. That started to get even more confusing to me, and this sort of made sense. I mean, this is a DevOps conference, right? So did I expect a lot more, or did I expect a deeper understanding? That's a good question. Obviously, communities need to focus somewhere. So, for example, in the Dora report, there's a box in one of the sort of mental models or the hypothesis trees for the product for the report, and it mentions lean product development. And it has 2 lines. It says gather and implement customer feedback and experimentation. Those were the 2 lines. So, yeah, there's a little bit of that. There's a little bit of where the community focuses, but something still felt off. And this especially manifested when I would hear people talk about the business and the teams, or, there's still these silos in people's thinking. And so I wanted to dig into that, and that's what I'm going to dig into today. So here's the goal of the talk. The goal of this talk is I'm going to share some key important concepts related to product and design. I want to seed your brain with ideas that could come in handy as you interact with